Want to learn more about your true nature? Check out the many interviews and short videos produced by our friends at ispirit.us. Like their page at facebook.com/ispirit.dotus and browse through their many posts and be inspired by the wonderful and positive messages about life that they share with their community. If you would like to study the works of Spiritism and delve deeper into this philosophy that will be guaranteed to enrich your life by teaching you about the greater life, check out EdiseofAmerica.com. At EdiseofAmerica.com you can find all of the seminal works of Spiritism written and compiled by Allan Kardec, translated from its original French to English, as well as other Spiritist works that serve to add to the immaterial treasure that is the Spiritist philosophy and doctrine. As one of our subscribers and followers, be sure to use promo code ispirit_love to get 10% off from your next purchase and continue to support this beautiful work of dissemination. ispirit_love to get 10% off from your next purchase. Thank you. Well, welcome back to our video series concerning what is Spiritism. This time around we're going to be jumping forward quite a few sections, and we're going to start at the part of the book entitled The Consequences of Spiritism. The first item of this section entitled The Consequences of Spiritism is item 100. And this item proposes the following question to the reader. So what good is the study of Spiritism after all? What benefit can we gather from this wonderful doctrine and philosophy that enriches our lives? Well, the answer is, it is useful to materially prove the existence of the spirit world. Since the spirit world is composed of the souls of those who used to live on the earth, it proves the soul's existence and its survival of the body. So in short, the most beneficial thing, the biggest blessing that we can gather and gain from the Spiritist doctrine is hope. Hope in a better situation. The hope of a greater life. The hope of something that awaits us, of a concrete future based upon the works that we endeavor today. And if we do good things today, the result and the consequence of those good deeds are going to manifest themselves in the future. After all, what drives us? What compels us to do good things if we have an uncertainty of a future life? If we don't know of a future life, then we're going to act selfishly. We're going to focus only on the immediate things, and those are the things that lead to envy, to jealousy, to ambition, to the things that injure us, our virtues, our morality. Once we have a greater view of life, and we believe in an afterlife, where we will receive the result of that which we worked on here, or where we will find family members or loved ones who have left before us, then we get this wonderful sensation, this wonderful consolation of why we're enduring what we endure here. The purpose of the trials which we undergo here, that are nothing more than lessons in the school on this earth that will help us in the future to become better, to purify ourselves, to transform ourselves, and thus be able to face greater challenges. And that is a wonderful thing. And it continues on, the souls who manifest themselves, or the souls who manifest, reveal their joys and their sufferings according to the way their earthly life was lived, which thus proves the notion of future rewards and punishments. So it's not punishment per se, and not rewards per se. They are nothing more than a consequence of the actions which we decided to undertake while incarnate in the physical plane of existence. So if we decided to do something bad, we are going to leave this earth realizing that it was for naught, because it brought nothing to us except a temporary gain, because everything in life is temporary. As we know, it's transitory. So every crime committed by us is going to eventually come to the forefront, and we'll have to face the consequences of that action, of that misdeed. The gains are going to be temporary. We could perhaps face the consequences in this life sooner rather than later, or we could face it in a future life, or we can face it in the greater life. Or, excuse me, we can face it in this existence, which is a better explanation, or we can face it in another existence as a consequence of what we've done in this one, or we can face it in the greater life, which is the immortal life of the spirit, and undergo the moral trial that the spirit carries within itself because it went against its own conscience. And in the conscience we find the laws of God. That is why whenever we do something wrong, the first person, if you want to put it this way, to speak to us is that inner voice. It is that which is imprinted in the conscience. It is the law of God, the divine laws that tells us, hey, you're doing something wrong. Hey, don't go over there. Hey, don't. This is all indicative of an inherent guideline that has been put in us to help us not to err. The problem is we choose to ignore it most of the time, and we continuously err and commit these crimes. And then unfortunately, as there is such a thing called action and reaction, the law of cause and effect, we are going to suffer the effect of the cause of which we were the maker or the creator. So it is only a normal consequence. And if we do good things and we perform meritorious duties and actions, fulfill our duties as the cosmic citizens that we are of this universe, behaving in the way which is expected from us, from divinity, then when we leave here and we have nothing holding us back, no angst, no despair, no disappointment, no disillusion, nothing that may have made us think that we did not do enough or did not do things the way they were supposed to be done, then we will feel an instant reward for being liberated from the existence filled with trials in the physical realm. And now we're able to really, really take the spirit that we are into this wonderful free realm of liberty to grow and to study, to become better. And that is a reward in itself. But it is not a reward per se. It is not something that you're getting as a gift. It is a consequence of having done the right things, much like in life. Don't we feel great when we do something good to someone else? Don't we feel wonderful when we complete a tough project? We feel fulfilled as if we have done something wonderful. That is the reward. The reward is not something physical. It's not something manifested to us or handed to us. It is something that is created within, that is turned on within us when we do something good. And the opposite is something that is shriveled within us, that causes us to become burdened by this thing that bothers us. So as souls or spirits describe their state and their situation, they correct erroneous ideas made regarding the future life, and especially the nature and duration of punishments. So, in other words, the punishment doesn't last forever. How can we align the idea of an eternal punishment with a supremely just God and a good God, an eternally good God, a loving Father? We cannot, because we cannot submit the idea that human law is more forgiving than the divine law of the all-loving Father. If in humanity, an individual who commits a crime and has good behavior while incarcerated may be let out on parole or earlier than his full sentence, why would it be any different for the divine law? Actually, it would be much more so than this. Because first of all, God doesn't need to forgive anyone. Because God, the Supreme Intelligence, cannot ever be offended. He created us. He knows that we will err, but He allows us the free will to err and to do what is right. So we are given these choices. And if we make the mistake, well, we have to correct it. We have to realign what we've done. It's part of the education of the spirit. Otherwise, we would never learn. If we were just simply to sit idle and contemplate the beauty of things or life itself or whatever it may be, we will never grow as individuals, as personalities, as liberated spirits. But we must undergo these trials. So, divine law cannot possibly maintain a soul in eternal punishment. It goes against everything that God stands for in every religion, the all-loving Father. We cannot attribute human passions, human mistakes, human traits to something that is much, much, much greater and goes much further beyond what we could possibly imagine. God would never allow such a thing. No one who is kind would allow such a thing. No, punishments are not eternal. It is eternal in the sense of the word that we say, oh, the light of the eternal sun, oh, the eternal snows of mountains. It conveys a certain period of time, but it is not the actual eternity that we think of in relation to the word eternal. So it might be eternal for someone who's undergoing that punishment for a long time. If you ask a prisoner who's been incarcerated for over 50, 60 years, you'll say, oh, I've been in prison an eternity. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's been truly an eternity. But to that individual, it will feel and seem like it, depending upon his level of comprehension and understanding of things. Same goes with the spirits. Perhaps they think they are in an eternal hell because they've been going through that situation that described their crime in their conscience for many, many years. And so they think that they're in an eternal punishment, when in reality they aren't. The moment that they repent and they regret what they've done, they begin that transformation, that shift, which will allow them then to begin the corrective process of the mistake they may have made in the past. So consequently, the future life goes from being a vague and uncertain theory to being a consummate and positive fact, which results in the need to labor as much as possible during our short present life on behalf of our everlasting future life. Now, a caveat that I want to put forth here is that we have existences, but there is only one life. The one life is the greater life, the one that never ceases. The existences cease because they are like school years that we enroll into to learn something, and once the semester is over, we go back into the greater life. That's all it is. So the ability to believe with full certainty of a future life helps us in our behavior, as I have sort of alluded to earlier. If we believe that we only have 5 years left to live, if that's all we know, and we are uncertain of a future, again, we're going to do everything we can to have fun, to enjoy the moment, so that when we leave this existence, we can say, I've done everything, and then we can go back into nothingness. But when we have the certainty of a future life, we'll do everything we can within our power to utilize those last few years to the best of our abilities, to do everything that is within our power to gain and transform the virtues that are within us into these wonderful flowers that will perfume all of those around us and help us to become better as true sons and daughters and true spirits of the one eternal and infinite supreme intelligence that governs and is the sovereign of the cosmos, the wonderful Father whom Jesus taught us to call him it as such, the loving Father. So doubt about the future life naturally leads people to yield completely to the pleasures of the present, hence the excessive importance given to material wealth. We've already sort of covered this. And also another very important thing that I had talked about, which is hope, as the one word that would synthesize the biggest benefit Spiritism can give us, is the fact that if we don't believe in the future life, the sufferings of this, if we don't believe in the greater life, after this existence, the sufferings and the trials in which we undergo in this short existence become that much greater. They metastasize and they become much more than what they really are. Instead of a tiny bump in the road, they become this huge, insurmountable wall before us that we cannot possibly climb, and we give up and we begin to posit the idea of maybe shortening this existence so we don't suffer as much. And then, unfortunately, this is the beginning of a terrible, terrible snowball effect, which may perhaps lead one to ending their life before its term ended, before the term was supposed to end, which is truncating that journey which the individual was supposed to undergo. And thus, because of that, the individual is going to suffer some consequences, which we won't get into very deeply here, but the understanding that the life doesn't cease after this one can guarantee the avoidance or the prevention of suicide. Because if you know that you're going to continue to suffer, even if you try to end this existence, that it's not going to change because you don't end this existence and go into nothing, because if you end this existence, you continue being who you are, but in a different manifestation, then what good is it to ending the life? You might as well just endure it and try to make the best out of it, so that when it does end in its proper term, in its right amount of time, then you can say, you know what, at least I put up with it, at least I overcame what I could, and I worked through it, and I completed what I had to complete, and I did not transgress any one of nature's laws by ending my life before its due date. So that's one thing to consider. It's the amount of hope it gives us to those who suffer. That's why I said the word consolation. It's consoling. It's a wonderful thing. So when people understand that there is this wonderful justice awaiting us in the greater life, then this will definitely compel us to do even more good. And once this mindset and this notion, this idea becomes ingrained in every human being that's incarnate, and even the discarnate ones awaiting the opportunity to come back into this existence on earth, then the world will be a much better place. Because everyone will understand that with every act of today, there's a consequence in the tomorrow. Because today's determinism is a result of yesterday's free will. And today's free will, today's choice will result in tomorrow's determinism. That is what happens. We determine our future. So if we do good things, if we behave well, if we are good with one another and kind to one another, and understand that everybody, every single one of us, some less, some more, are in the same level. In the same level, the entire planet. No one's any better, because you might be in a certain position today, but you may have been in another one yesterday. I may be in this position today, but I may have been in another one yesterday, and I will be in another one tomorrow. In tomorrow and yesterday, I mean in past and future existences. So we never know. So this allows us to be indulgent with the faults of others, because we begin to understand that, you know what, maybe I know that brother will get to the point where he'll understand things. So we begin to concern less with the faults of others and more with making others understand and treating them as we would like to be treated, because that is the ultimate thing that we need to do. That's what Christ taught us. It is the golden rule, to do unto others as we'd like others to do unto us. And once that behavior is established universally, and everyone thinks more or less along those lines, then what a beautiful planet this will be for us. What a beautiful school it will be when all the students finally fulfill their duties and comply with the lessons that are given to them and understand the work that lies ahead of them. So we can say that in the Spiritist doctrine, the spirits have come to teach us. They are our coordinators. They know that we are in the school temporarily to learn, and they give us the lessons. They give us the homework, and they say, hypothetically, not hypothetically, but metaphorically, here's your assignment. Do it. I will help you as much as you will help yourself. You will have to meet me halfway, and then I will take your hand and guide you. But when we are idle and lazy and we don't want to do the work that is incumbent upon us to perform, then we're never going to go ahead. We're never going to get ahead, excuse me. We're never going to progress. So this teaching is wonderful for us, because then we know that if there is, for a fact, other spirits out there, there must be spirits that are much more advanced than we are, and those who are inferior to us. But then we know that the ones who are much more advanced than we are must be that much better than we are in every sense of the word. In every emotion, in every virtue, in every talent, in morality, in love, in kindness, everything. Logically, as a consequence of it being more advanced, it is better. Bottom line, you cannot discuss or argue this. So, they are there for us. And if we ask for guidance and help, the Father will then ask those who are these better spirits to intercede on our behalf if we have the merit for it, and help us to perhaps attenuate a situation that is bothering us, but to guide us to complete the homework that has been assigned to us. If we put in the effort, and then to help us finalize it so that we can move on to a better grade. So again, this is that whole idea of the benefit of Spiritism, what it brings to us. It's a complete blessing. And that is why I always encourage you who watch this, you who are interested, or you who thinks that this perhaps causes you to causes something to stir within you, a curiosity about this whole entire philosophy, pick up the book, read it. If it won't make you understand these things, at least it'll kind of give you a different notion of life, and then you'll always have that instinctive and inherent need to go further. And this is what Spiritism does. So once you start, you can't stop. Once you start studying about it, reading about it, and things become clearer and logical, and life becomes more understandable and easier to deal with, then that's all it needs. It does not need anyone else to confirm it, to give a guarantee of its benefits, because once you read and learn about it, you will feel those benefits deep within. But it's not just reading, and it's not just studying. It is taking the core concepts and the principles, which are all based on the divine laws, which are also taught by Christ, because Christ was a divine emissary who translated the divine verb into what we could understand in these allegories and metaphors that we can apply to our lives. So it is about turning those behaviors that were exemplified by Christ's attitudes into our own natural habits. And so this is what Spiritism does. At least this is what Spiritism did for me, is to try and make one become better by understanding the reality of things. So this will conclude chapter 2 of the book, What is Spiritism? Next time we will delve into chapter 3, which is entitled The Solution to a Few Problems by Means of the Spiritist Doctrine. I hope to see you all next time, and I hope that this was enjoyable and that it instigated you or helped you to have a desire to read and learn a little bit more. Thank you so much for your attention, and may God bless you always. Thank you.